Have you ever wondered how anyone got a decent night's sleep in the 1800s? Imagine crawling into a straw-stuffed sack crawling with lice. Or sharing a sagging rope bed with your cousin, your mother, and your goat. Did people even sleep through the night? Why did some think demons attacked them in their sleep? And what on earth is a feather tick? So, before you get comfortable, take a moment to like the video and subscribe, but only if you genuinely enjoy what I do here. Watch until the end, because every detail will leave you in disbelief. You lower yourself onto a bed frame made of rough wood and strung with ropes that creak under your weight. The mattress, if you can call it that, is a lumpy sack of straw or corn husks. Scratchy against your skin, smells vaguely of mildew and barnyard. You shift, and something bites your leg. Fleas? Bedbugs? Hard to say. By morning, you'll be scratching in places you didn't even know you had. Across the continent, beds vary wildly. Some are stuffed with moss, others with horsehair. In southern plantations, enslaved people sleep on bare wooden boards or pallets on dirt floors. Often without blankets. If you're lucky, you might get a feather tick, but it's heavy, hot, and impossible to clean. Pillows? Maybe one, made from whatever's left over. Historians still argue whether most rural families truly endured these setups, or simply accepted them as comfort. Either way, the line between rest and survival was thin. Literally. Especially when your mattress compresses into a pancake by year 2. Hope you like sleeping sideways. Because we're just getting started. Now slide over. There's no such thing as personal space. In most 1800s households, sleeping alone isn't a luxury. It's suspicious. You, your siblings, maybe your parents, and yes, possibly even a visiting traveler, all pile into the same bed. It's warm, it's cramped, and if someone snores, well, you learn to live with it. Beds were expensive, and rooms were few. A single large bed might serve 4 or 5 people. Children were stacked like firewood, often 2 to a pillow. You try not to kick anyone, or breathe too loud, or roll over, especially if you're on the edge. One wrong move and you're sleeping on the cold floor. Again, in inns and boarding houses, hot bedding becomes a thing. Travelers share beds with total strangers. Often in shifts. You get 6 hours, then they get 6. No one washes the sheets in between. If you're thinking that sounds unhygienic, congratulations on living in the future. In some rural towns, it wasn't unusual for new guests to be invited into the family bed, under the logic that extra bodies meant extra warmth. It wasn't intimate, just efficient. Historians still argue whether this was truly universal across classes or more common among working families. But diaries from across England and America confirm, sleep was a communal experience. If you valued privacy, you probably didn't value sleep. And good luck if you're a light sleeper. Between fidgeting siblings, babies crying, and Uncle Joe's beer breath, you're dreaming of silence, but you're not getting it. You wake up sore, or maybe you never really slept. Because if your family couldn't afford a bed, or space for one, you made do with the floor. And not a nice wooden floor either. Dirt, packed, cold earth beneath a thin mat of straw. If you're lucky. If not, your body is the mattress. The poorest households, especially in rural Europe and American frontier towns, often slept directly on the ground. A pile of rags or hay served as bedding, sometimes covered with a rough woolen blanket. The straw attracts bugs, the rags smell of sweat, and your back protests with every toss and turn. But at least it's yours. Kind of. In tenements and slums, entire families sleep in shifts. Some adults stay awake while others rest, switching places when dawn looms. Kids curl up near the stove, if there is one, or under furniture to escape drafts. It's less about comfort and more about surviving the night without freezing. And oddly, some people chose this. Travelers, monks, even some health reformers believed sleeping on hard floors was good for posture or moral purity. Soft beds weaken the will. One preacher claimed. Bold talk from someone who probably never had to share space with a rat. Historians still argue whether these choices were born from necessity or philosophy. Were people trying to live simply? Or just living without options? Either way, you're up at dawn with a crooked spine, a hay allergy, and a strong craving for Advil, which doesn't exist yet. At this point, you're probably longing for a soft mattress. Don't worry, we're about to visit the lucky few who actually had one. Your eyes adjust to candlelight flickering against velvet drapes. This isn't your hovel anymore. This is the master bedroom of a 19th century upper-class home, where sleep is practically a performance. You approach a towering four-poster bed dressed in thick quilts, embroidered linens, and a feather tick so stuffed it practically levitates. The frame groans under the weight of luxury: wool blankets, linen sheets, and down-filled pillows stacked high enough to drown in. Bed curtains, yes, actual curtains, surround the mattress, blocking drafts and, let's be honest, giving the whole thing an irresistible vampire coffin vibe. You don't just sleep here. You retreat. You vanish into layers. Before you even lie down, there's prep involved. A servant might warm the bed with a metal pan full of coals, just enough to take off the chill, not set the place on fire. Nightcaps are worn. Chamber pots are tucked discreetly beneath, and the room smells faintly of lavender sachets and candle wax. In France, some elite homes feature alcove beds built directly into the wall, like cozy sleeping nooks for grown-ups with royal egos. And in the US, wealthier families prize matching bedroom sets, ornate headboards, and imported linens that cost more than an entire farmhand's yearly wages. Historians still argue whether this domestic opulence truly reflected a restful mindset or just showed off social standing. Probably both. One thing's clear: if you lived like this, your nightmares were embroidered in silk. But let's not get too cozy. You're about to lose the roof over your head. Grab a lantern. We're going outside. The wind howls through the canvas walls, and you're curled up in a wagon, your blanket thin as paper, your breath visible in the air. Welcome to the great outdoors, 1800s edition. Whether you're a settler on the Oregon Trail, a Civil War soldier in camp, or a fur trapper miles from civilization, sleeping arrangements out here are improvisational. At best, if you're in a covered wagon, congratulations, you've got luxury. A straw tick laid atop barrels or crates. Maybe a quilt if it's not soaked. If you're on the trail, though, you're lying directly on the ground, maybe wrapped in a buffalo robe or rough wool blanket. Rain? You'll be wet. Snow? You'll be frozen. Wild animals? Just try not to smell like jerky. Soldiers sleep in cramped tents, packed like sardines with rifles and boots doubling as pillows. Many keep one eye open. Desertion, theft, or ambush aren't just threats, they're nightly realities. And don't even ask about sanitation. In frontier cabins, bedrooms are more like corners. A rope bed, a pile of furs, or a swinging hammock nailed to the beams might serve as rest. You might share space with a dog, a baby, or an axe, because chores start at dawn, maybe sooner. Historians still argue whether these rugged sleep habits made people tougher or just crankier. Either way, romanticizing pioneer life ends fast when your only blanket is damp and smells like horse. You turn over, trying to ignore the sound of something rustling nearby. Probably just a raccoon, or a bear. Either way, sleep tight. You extinguish the lantern, but darkness never means silence. Outside, wolves howl. Inside, your grandmother whispers a prayer. Because in the 1800s, nighttime isn't just sleep time, it's a realm of omens, rituals, and fears. You lie on your back, then quickly turn. Everyone knows that's how the devil finds you. Candles are snuffed carefully, mirrors draped, and shoes placed facing the door to ward off spirits. Superstition creeps into everything. Some folks believe sleeping with your feet toward the door invites death. Others keep a Bible under the pillow, just in case. And if you do fall asleep, you're not necessarily safe. Nightmares weren't just bad dreams, they were warnings. Or worse, attacks. Tales of the old hag haunting sleepers, paralysis, pressure on the chest, strange figures watching, swirled through Europe and America. Today we'd call it sleep paralysis. Back then, it was a witch, a ghost, or your sins catching up to you. Even medical advice was full of mystery. Doctors recommended not sleeping too close to others or leaving your window open, though some swore fresh air cured everything from melancholia to tuberculosis. One fringe remedy even involved sleeping with raw onions in your socks. If it smelled like fear, that was on purpose. Historians still argue whether these rituals protected people psychologically or just made them more anxious. Either way, you follow the rules. You don't want to be the one who tempts fate. As you curl under your heavy quilt, heart thudding, you hope nothing visits you tonight, not rodent, Not ghost. Not Aunt Mabel checking if you're still breathing. The wind softens outside your window. And your body finally begins to settle. The noises fade. The candle smoke curls slowly into the rafters. You shift once more, pulling the blanket tighter around your shoulders. As the chill of the past fades and the quiet hum of rest returns. It's over now. You made it through the night. What do you think about this topic? Don't hesitate to share your thoughts in the comments below. Subscribe to the channel. And hit the bell to stay updated on our latest videos. We'd love to hear from you. For now, goodbye and see you next time.